Hello, it's your protest mom. I'm trying to get ready for another afternoon of no childcare and lots of distance learning. But before we get into that, it's the only reason I'm not supporting Parasol Patrol and the DU students at the protest that they are having this morning. For the most part, I would be at something like this. It doesn't really matter. It's a student-led protest, solidarity. Defend the police, abolish ICE, decolonization, and elimination of all intersexual forms of oppression, which the university responded with, anyone who participates in this will be sanctioned. So thank you to everyone who was able to make it out there, assist the organizers, and get DU to change their tune, at least on Twitter, to say, hey, we're not going to punish anybody. So that's already, mission hopefully not completely accomplished. But if you do face any consequences for showing up and exercising your First Amendment rights, let your moms know. We might love to come exercise our First Amendment rights all over DU. Tell you exactly what we think of that school. I have a lot of thoughts. I keep them to myself because I don't like insulting people until they piss me off enough, and then I just don't give a shit. And we're not there yet with DU, but they give you guys any trouble, then I will be there with my attitude in tow. It comes with me everywhere I go. Now, as for the rest of the weekend, there's a whole lot going on. So we're going to talk through some of the events, and they're going to tell you what it is that I am looking out for. Sorry for the more, less formal format today, but I don't have a whole lot of time before the kids come home, and I need to get this out before I go out. And or rather, don't go anywhere and have to be teaching using the whiteboard for math that I don't understand, because they teach kids math in a weird way these days, and it doesn't make sense to me. And I like math. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so we've got two big things going on. One starts this afternoon, and that is a clothing drive for a cold weather clothing drive. For Hose, Help on Every Street. That is the greatest name ever. I love it so much. You can also, if you can't be there in person to drop off items, you can make donations to Hose. There's also another gentleman who makes food for the homeless, and you can find links to their Venmo on our Twitter and the Wall of Moms Twitter. And this person, out of the goodness of the heart, makes all kinds of food and delivers it to the homeless, which is something the city really ought to fucking do with our tax dollars. But we'll come back to that rant in a minute too. Another thing that's happening tomorrow, you've got the March for Black Women, that March for Black Female Lives that's happening on the Capitol. And then we've also got the big PSL action at noon. So plan to be at the Capitol from basically 10 a.m. onward for the rest of the day. I like that these are starting a little bit earlier, because that in hopes that they can be finished by dusk. Now, I understand that a whole lot of people prefer to be out at night, and I get that. I get all the reasons why you might want to. I am still very dubious of being out late at night, not because I disagree with the actions, but rather what I'm not trusting is that the police aren't going to come in and use this as an excuse to play into the narrative that they're trying to push now, that we cannot afford to forget about. And that narrative is that we need policing because rioters are vandals and they're looters and they're uneducated and they're just bullies and they don't care and they break windows for no reason, which is not true. I know that you guys have reasons behind every single action you take. What we need, and I'm hoping will come out of a meeting that's happening today with Black community leaders, that will hopefully give us a more cohesive strategy that will drive everything going forward into the election and beyond. So what's happening now for the rest of the year, everything that we do really needs to fit into a bigger picture, which I literally drew out on my whiteboard and will be play-by-play, and will be putting in the Twitter feed at Coach MK Fleming, your protest mom. I will be putting that in my Twitter feed, the screenshots of my whiteboard for you to see. So a few things when it comes to, as this is just putting on my coach hat here, in order to win, and I do like winning, we got to know what our objectives are. What is it we're attempting to accomplish? Right now, something like Black Lives Matter or defund the police, that's too vague for anyone to act on. And I know that it's not fair, and I know that sucks, and I know, but we have to be pushing specific levers, specific public officials. We need to be bullying city council. We cannot stop bullying city council in person and in cyberspace. We have got to keep that up, you guys. It worked. They pushed back on that police contract. I didn't expect that to happen. I really, really didn't. We worked, guys. We did that. Now we got 2 more months before the budget is finalized. The hearings are over this week, and then they go into deliberation. We got to be there Monday night, raising hell, raising our voices, being as loud as we can. If no one else is there, I will be there and give you a platform, and I will yell for you. I will bring the bullhorns. I'll be like, if you're black, if you're not, I don't care. Just get up there and yell and holler and make a scene. We got to keep making a scene. We've got to keep pushing the people who are most accessible to us, whose decisions impact our lives the most directly. And that is the elected body known as city council. So other things that we need to worry about, the main objectives from now to the end of the year, the voting integrity, and the election integrity. So that is going to be a big deal. Generally speaking, in Colorado, we don't have to worry about that like the rest of the country does, but it can't hurt to volunteer with any of the organizations right now that are asking for volunteers to help guard the polls. This is a year where it's going to matter, and the more people, more progressives, people left of left we can have on our side, the better I will feel about the outcome, no matter what that outcome may be. We need to be worrying about ballot initiatives, not just organizing to get new items. It's too late to get them on. I think it's too late to get them on the ballot for this year, but for next year, we need to have a change of the city charter. I think that's going to take about 26,000 signatures. So anyone who wants to organize that and get started, that would be a great damn idea. It would be a really productive way to actually defund the police, which is almost impossible to do right now due to the city charter. So we got to change the city charter. Number 3, we've got to keep putting that pressure on all of our electeds. All of them, but starting with city council, no one is more important than them right now. Finally, we've got to be increasing the community education and events. Now, I don't know what's going to come out of this Black community leadership call this afternoon. I'm hoping it will be details that fall out of those 4 buckets, because those 4 buckets are where you have the direct actions that we take come from, and give y'all the opportunities. If you just want to break windows, cool. Show up into our great big groups and break the windows after we have made our statements or while we make our statements. I don't really care. Whatever's going to be the most effective, but one does not work without the other. We need the direct action. We need the people turning out, and we also need the specific asks from the people who have the power to make those changes. Nothing pissed me off as much as Mayor Hancock's little platitude about Breonna Taylor on Twitter. Who the fuck do you think you are? You have the power to do something. Do something. Don't just talk about it. And that's what we have to be saying. We got to be calling him out and calling out everybody else who has more power than they claim to do the things that we want to do with our taxpayer dollars. Now, in order to get those objectives, this is where the coaching keeps coming in, we need strategy. Yay, we need visibility. We need national support. We really do. Denver feels very disconnected from the rest of the country in a way that I have never truly understood. Even when I was in Tennessee, we still felt connected to the national party, whether it was the NEA, the teachers union my mother was a member of, or the Democratic Party, even though nobody was Democrat before I grew up, but we still felt connected somehow to other Democrats because there's national support. We were part of something. You don't feel like you're connected nationally here, or at least I don't. Maybe if you do, tell me all about it. But without that national support, we don't have the assistance in creating the PR and the media narratives that we need in order to bring more people to the movement, and which will then make direct action much more impactful and much more effective. Because again, that respectability politics, it's one thing when you have vandals doing it. It's another thing when you have people like me who are members of the DAR and the Junior League and go to church, start showing up and saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong. That gets their attention. I don't like the fact that white motherhood has a role, but it works and I'll use it. That's why if you don't like the way I use my white privilege, you need to take it away, period. There we go. So once we have that and more direct action, enough people that direct actions are really effective, then we need to have coordination between the groups that is cohesive and glued to a national narrative that is consistent. Okay, so it's like, oh, what happened last night? Oh, they're still trying to get them to change the budget. Oh gosh, did you see what happened downtown? They were setting fires. Yeah, they're still really angry they're really angry that the budget passed yet again, and that none of the city council members listened. That's how it all needs to go together, so that anyone says, oh, what happened? Oh, this. People who aren't involved, people who aren't there, know exactly what happened and why. Why was the courthouse on fire last night in Louisville? Oh yeah, the DA didn't charge Breonna Taylor's murderers. There it is, right? People who don't understand the narrative and see the injustice. We can't make people see what they don't want to see, but we can make it really easy so that they have no option. Right now, there are too many gaps that they have to fill in the narrative, and they're going to fill it in with whatever makes them feel the most comfortable. So people who are sitting on the sidelines, they're going to fill those gaps with whatever allows them to continue to sit on the sidelines and not show up for Black Lives at a march and not show up to get those PSL people out of prison. We ought to be playing that card. I can't say that enough. Look at who was arrested and try tying those faces to any narrative about a vandal. We need to be pushing that. That's something that I feel like if what we wanted to do right now is truly grow the movement and bring those moderate whites that aren't really sure what the right thing is, but do want to be part of history, bring them to the table, show them pictures of people who look like their daughters having been arrested for exercising their First Amendment rights with the video of them audibly telling everyone to calm down and to go home and be safe. And to, like, all of that would work in our advantage from a PR standpoint. We're not doing any of it. And I get it that we can do that without centering the movement on white women. What it does is show them, if this is what they do to white women, take a look at what they do to Black ones. Question everything. It needs to be part of a narrative that unquestionably ties back to Black lives. And we lack that right now. So that's what I think our strategy should be. Because I can tell you what their strategy is, the police that is. They've already taken out the organizers of the one group, and there aren't that many groups that we trust. If you were to ask me, like months ago, back early when I first started using Twitter, back in June, what actions do I go to? The only ones that I went to, because I was trying to subtly call out two leaders who I thought and still think are very dangerous. I said, I will attend events that are promoted by Elizabeth Epps, that are shared by Isabella, who God bless her. I wish she still lived here, but she doesn't. Or were organized by PSL. That was it. And those three, if any of those conditions were met, I would show up because I knew what I would be doing, what my presence would be adding to. Again, not against autonomy or autonomous action, but right now we're at a point where we have to assume that, okay, if I don't know who organized this, if no one can tell me who made that flyer, I got to assume it was made by a cop. I'm not walking into that trap. I got better things to do for the revolution than sit in prison for no good reason. And if you need any further reminder of why autonomous actions are dangerous, did you hear about the thing that happened low key autonomously at the police academy graduation where 9 people got arrested? I rest my case. If I don't know who organized it, I'm not showing up, and you need to question it too. The bigger, the louder, the more publicer, the better. Not saying don't go to other things, but we can't afford to miss the big things too. Okay, because they're taking out our organizers. Next, they're going to be taking out our influencers, the people who help us make decisions, the people on whom we rely for information. And I'm probably fit into that category. But that is only effective for them as long as public opinion is on the side of Mayor Hancock and the police and this narrative that we need police to keep us safe, that so many people believe. So 1 and 2, taking out the organizers and the influencers, that's going to weaken the momentum of the movement here, kind of kneecap it. Number 3, having public opinion on their side is what caps our ability to grow. So we've got to make strategies around their tactics in order to achieve our objectives. And I'm very, very hopeful that what's going to come out of this Black leadership meeting today are things that fit into those neatly into those categories. Hint, hint. But I'm not demanding the revolution that I want to see. I am calling the plays that I think will be the most effective. Think of me as your dad yelling at the TV screen during the Broncos game. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not trying to criticize what's happening. I want you to win so badly. I'm going to humiliate myself by yelling into the ether, hoping it gets somewhere and that we actually all win in the end of the day. So that is the protest news that I care about. I'll be coming back and dissecting anything that I hear about this Black leadership meeting. But very seriously, be careful this weekend. I'm your protest mom. I am here. I am not sure I'm going to have the childcare so for me to go to these actions as much as I want to. I want to be at the march. I want to be there for PSL. With my child care capped, I can't. So I will be acting in my protest mom capacity as usual. Do not hesitate. Let me know. Yep, Mom, I'm going out. Mom, I'm headed home. Mom, got here safely. Most people who will be taken by the police will be taken between call number 2 and call number 3. Make sure you make call number 1 to me so that I am watching and I'm aware and my phone doesn't go off. Because guess what, y'all? If no one contacts me to tell me that they're out, I might take a nap. I will not do that if I know that you're there. So any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat here. Hello. Yes, you. Everybody see Cody? I guess that's the next big thing. This guy right here, that little baby face, is turning 25. 25 tomorrow. So if you see him, pinch his cheeks and say, Coach told me to do this because she loves you that much. He'll love it. It'll make him really happy. Happy birthday. Bring in your present. If you don't hear from me, you'll hear from the people who are delivering it to you. Enjoy. Yes, he is. Cody's. Don't you even. Cody's such a baby. You got to pinch his cheeks. He's 25. It's 25. That is fatal when you're as old as I am. Oh my gosh. He's young enough to be my child. Yes, we want to reallocate funding from police to service providers. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, we've got to change public opinion. We've got to have people watching. I'm all about the daytime protests for the majority because that's what drives the PR. When those things happen at night, that's fine, but it has to be cohesive and go with the daytime narrative. Because if it goes against the daytime narrative and we don't have all these pieces that fit together neatly, we don't have public opinion because it was like, why are windows breaking? No, here's another example, right? When we were protesting the sweeps at Maury, none of my neighbors understood it. I got furious calls from my friends saying, how dare you support the homeless people? Don't you care about our children? My kids go to that school. And I'm like, yeah, do you want those people they're sweeping in your backyards? What are you talking about? Here's some pictures of your alley last night. Oh my God, that's my backyard. I'm like, yeah, I know. I took that picture on my nightly walk. Guess where these people are sleeping when they're getting swept out of Maury? That changed the tune. Now we got all kinds of people that are really excited to help the homeless and to pressure city council because they didn't realize this was happening. Some of it's education, some of it's making it personal, but we've got to do all of that. We can't just be like sitting around waiting for a Facebook event telling us when to show up. We've got to be at city council. That happens every week. We've got to be talking on Twitter. We've got to be talking to each other. We've got to be supporting. We've got to be a little more unified than we are right now as a team, moving that ball across the finish line. Happy early birthday, Cody, for sure. Like I said, if you see him, yes, he is a baby. And you can say, Coach MK made me do this. Yes, I did. The most important thing you could possibly do this weekend is say happy birthday and hi to a comrade who is at his ripe young age has done more than I had done for any movement at that age. And I was already doing work back then. So tell you that. It's everything you need to know about the weekend from your protest. Mom, make good choices, make good trouble, and make sure that I know that you're out so I can be watching for you to come home.